we're back. This feels very, very weird. We are back. After a 2 and a bit year hiatus, I'm guessing that's how long it's been, I'll have to check. But we're back. Ended things quite abruptly. Obviously the prep series was the focal point at the time, and I was obviously just feeling, or I was feeling, too far spread to keep up with the vlogging side of things as well. But this time around I'm hoping will be a very kind of different prep for me. I've spoiled the whole intro there. We're not prepping, ignore that. So yeah, where did we finish up in 2021? So we competed September 21 at the First Timers, and it went very well. It was very much a case, as it should be for most or all First Timers, a case of you probably know at that point, or more likely will know that you love bodybuilding, or you really enjoy bodybuilding, but whether the competitive side is for you or not, you won't know up until that point. So although I knew bodybuilding on a whole was and is my life, I didn't know if competition side, the competitive side, the stage was going to be something I would enjoy all too much, until I did it, and I did, and I absolutely loved every second of it. And it was very, very productive, very productive. Won the class, missed out on the overall, but the whole experience in general was amazing. There's not much that you can do that could compare to that feeling of accomplishment as a prep, in my opinion anyway. So straight from 2021, September 21, I was straight in. I was almost ready for my off season before I was even on stage, because I'm very much always looking at right, next. I knew there was going to be big improvements needed from where I was in 21, but it was just a case of putting yourself through that kind of intense diet phase to see if you can handle it, you can cope with it, which I knew I would. But I'd already had my sights set on making improvements for future competitive season. So straight into an off season from there, and I had remained in an off season for 2 years, there or thereabouts. So pretty much until the second week of May this year, I've been pretty much in a consistent off-season improvement phase, with periods of kind of exposing yourself to vast amounts of food, escalations in drugs, pulling back down, pushing back up, and just been a repetition of that for the past 2 years. But all in all, I've pretty much remained in some form of a surplus for the past 2 years. So I'm very much ready, physically and kind of mentally, to switch the emphasis in terms of what the goal's been. Just because not only, not because of the reasons everyone thinks and what most would think in terms of absolutely love being a dick skin pill, but more so, this may sound weird, but I am an athlete, right? So I like having goals to work towards, and I like having new goals, new targets to work towards. That's where I operate best, right? And when you've been kind of working towards the same goal in an improvement phase, which there is no cut-off in terms of how long an improvement phase, an off-season will be, right? So it was pretty much a case of how long you can keep going until you either need to stop and you can't push anymore, or you're mentally ready to do that, physically or mentally ready to do that. And for me, it's probably a mix of both. So with that being said, prep has again started as of the second week of May this year. So we've been dieting now for around 6 or so weeks. I have got some numbers here in terms of, so I was at my peak of my off season, I was around just shy of 240. I think I was around 238. And that wasn't at the end of my off season, that was at the peak of my off season. So the end of your improvement phases are typically not going to be where you see yourself you're at your heaviest either, because more often than not you're going to have periods where you're tapering things down, maybe somewhat of a health phase, pulling into physiological, pull down in food volume, somewhat of a pre-diet, a pre-prep phase of sorts, if you like. Although you're still going to be in a surplus, you're going to see a shift in body weight for sure. So yeah, around about 238 peak off season, and as of last Friday, the 16th, I'm not sure when this will get uploaded, I was 220, so a good amount of body weight off. Feel much better for it as well, in a really good position, physically, mentally, almost at that point, or I've been at that point for a good few weeks now, where total food intake is still adequate, is still good to fuel training performance, and so you actually have some life away from, some form of energy and life away from that training window, which is good. But also seeing body weight come down quickly enough and substantially enough that training performance is picking up, and has only really continued in some forms, or one way or another, to improve. There's been certain aspects that have taken a knock in terms of strength, but all in all, for the most part, as body weights come down, generally feel fitter, feel better, less lethargic, walking around the gym. Training performance has continued to improve, so we're moving really nicely now. In terms of this prep, this is going to be a around about a 16 or 17 week total prep. Now, last time I prepped, it was around 22-ish weeks, but I started at a much heavier position in terms of how much body fat I was holding. This off season has been a real good one for me in terms of how well body composition's kind of held. It's part and parcel, right? So when you go through periods of pushing body weight up and then getting as lean as you can and then doing the same, you're going to accumulate more muscle tissue, right? So in essence, you want to see every time you start a prep phase be in a much better position than the last, because you should essentially have more muscle tissue if you've gone through a productive off season. Hence the reduction in prep duration this time around, which is a weird one when obviously you're going to compare, which is really hard, but try and detach from it in terms of, well, last time I dieted for 22, 23 week total. This time I'm only dieting for 16, 17. It does put pressure on, but you need to appreciate how good a position, or how much different a position you're starting in terms of composition and muscularity, which you can absolutely afford to lessen that prep timeline type. I'm not gonna put dates up or list what competition, what shows I'm doing. I'm very much just gonna try and keep this a documentation of the process. I'm not 5 weeks, 6 weeks out in it. That may change, but I'm not. I had that last time, and it's a lesson learned in terms of, like, for me personally. Other people can do that absolutely fine, but I don't like, and it doesn't work well for me, you know, saying 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out. I'm not going to do that. I started doing it at the beginning of this prep, and already I'm kind of pulling away from it. Not going full fucking shadow mode, but want to keep a little bit back for my own headspace, I suppose, really. And that's where we're at. So training at the moment, training 4 days a week, still following some kind of like modified a push-pull legs modified split. So have a top line session, or push legs, then a day's rest. Then we train pull on Thursdays, rest on Fridays. So a day rest in between either side of pull. And then on Saturday, last session of the week is a top line and arms, which is chest and delt with kind of one compound of each, some lateral work, and then into some arm work on that top line and arm session. So it's pretty much an arm session with some push top up, if you like. In terms of cardio at the moment, it's in at 7 days a week and 20 minutes of cardio. I'm currently using the stairs. I'm starting to feel, especially this week, legs maybe taking a little bit of a knock in terms of recovery. So I may very well switch between something that's not gonna load my legs too much. Maybe something like a recumbent bike or cross trainer, something that's not gonna be as weight bearing as the stairs. Still make sure that keep intensity where it needs to be, of course, but I need to make sure that my legs don't fizzle away to absolutely nothing being a pro. But we'll gauge and we'll see where we go. At the moment, we're moving all right. In terms of nutrition, training days, we are 3,000 calories. Non-train days are 2,750-ish. I'm not going to run into macros because it really does make no difference. I can put them up somewhere if there is any interest in them, but 2,700 and 3,000 calories. Non-train day and train days are like around 6 litres of water per day. At the moment, I'm probably 6,500-ish. And that is where we're at. Now, with regards to supplementation in terms of the drug side of things, at the moment, something I'm open with this stuff anyway, right? So I don't know how YouTube's going to respond to that. It'll probably blacklist and bum me, so we'll see. But at the moment, my stack consists of testosterone, mast, primo, and some tren. In terms of dosing, again, I'm probably not gonna, in terms of milligrams, I'm not gonna list that before someone does an absolute madness. I may well do, but at the moment we'll kind of leave things. In terms of fat burners, lipolytic aid, some clenbuterol and some yohimbine HCl at the moment, which I will take in the morning prior to doing my cardio. That's part of my morning routine, and then get a shimmy on. That is it. Now, like I said, an update on where we've been. I have no idea kind of what I'm going to do for the rest of the channel, but in terms of a welcome back where we at, that is where we're at. Targets for this year, competitively. Again, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any. I do. But I'm very much kind of not trying to put too much pressure on those goals as much as I know they're there. This season being a first season as an amateur, away from the first timers kind of caliber, it's very much your first time, and your first time as an amateur are very much a repeat process for me, in my opinion. You're not going to know where you stand as an amateur until you've actually stood on an amateur stage against other amateur athletes, as is the case for a first timer, right? So this is very much a case of, right, what do we need, what do we have, what do we don't have? Let's just enjoy dieting, let's enjoy having a new goal for a period of time, be as competitive as we can, and then straight back to making improvements needed to be as competitive as possible. That's pretty much the main one for me, is seeing where I stand. I'm not going to be the biggest at 5 foot nothing. I'm about 5'7"-ish and change. I'm not going to be the biggest, haven't got the biggest frame, but it is my focal point this season to just be and everyone says the same thing, but to just be as fucking peeled as I possibly can. I don't have the stature, I don't have that shape to hang with the freaks. I have enough to be competitive, but my target is just to get absolutely ball bag lean. So I think that's everything. What I am going to do is very much maybe some kind of like weekly updates. I'm unsure. Maybe get a physique update in somewhere and go from there. Peace. Alright, so we are 12 weeks out at current. Just got to the gym now. About to train legs. Arguably my favourite session of the week. Productivity across all sessions, training in general at the moment, as I am getting lighter, as I'm getting leaner, my training performance is increasing with that as well, which is to be expected. And like I said earlier, nowhere near lean enough or been dieting for long enough to feel any kind of impact from being lean. Nowhere near that point yet. But yeah, a tip for those when they are heading to train, not just legs, but train in general, something I like to do. I'll get to the gym a little bit earlier before I plan to train. And then I will sit in the car, sip my pre, which is a serving of pre-pump. Plug. A plug for what? I don't know, I'm not sponsored. By Supplement Needs. Then I will write my session out. I don't go in to the gym and write my session out purely because when I walk in, I want to crack on straight away. Get in and get out. So yeah, take my time, get my head switched on, and then go get it.
Yeah,
So numbers are moving really well. I'm up a rep on that. Well, reps have maintained, but continuous reps I'm up a rep, which is a progression. Feeling really nice. This feels fantastic on my knees as well, which is a bit of a game changer. The last few months I've only been able to reintroduce this hack because I've banned it from the bottom, saving a bit of a joint knee mitigation in terms of issues. It loads the top a little bit more, and I really like that when it comes to squats and presses. So really nice. The battery on this is about to die as well, so this will probably be the last thing I record. All in all, moving really well. Hot, very hot, it's humid as hell, but very productive. Peace.